Well, this is it. And here we go with another great edition of Inside EMS. It's all about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness and going inside EMS. Let's add that. But before we begin, he's here. He's with me. He's always with me. Even when we're not together, he is with me. My good friend, Kelly Grayson, KG, what's going on with you this week?
Oh, not much, man. This weekend I'm at the World Steampunk Exposition and Makers Fair in Lafayette, Louisiana,
What?
hawking some books and
What
talking
is
about
that?
steampunk weapons.
What is it?
Steampunk? You never heard of steampunk?
No, what the heck is that?
Oh man, what rock were you under that you crawled out from? Uh, Steampunk is Victorian era, very um, ornate dress and all the the entire thing is wonderfully complex, gear driven and steam driven, and it's just this idealized Victorian era
All right, stop.
aesthetic.
Stop. Yeah. All
uh
right. Yeah, stop.
it's steampunk's pretty damn cool, man.
All right. Well, let me
Lots
I
lots of
got something
polished
more.
brass and leather and all the wet
Yeah.
my thing is going to be on steampunk weapons. So
Yeah.
anything from ray guns to sword canes and and that sort of thing. So
Well, before we start, I got something more important to talk about than this steampunk thing. But Kelly, every year it's happened. It's becoming a tradition in EMS, and the 2023 EMS Trend Survey is now open.
mm-hmm.
EMS field providers, leaders, and educators from all service types are invited to participate. Share your input. Share your input by March 15th, and you'll be entered for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. Results will be shared in the digital edition, What Paramedics Want in 2023. Make your voice heard at ems1.com/2023 trend survey. I can't read this morning, so I think that's pretty obvious. But it's become an annual tradition, the EMS trend survey. I actually did mine when it came out. I don't know if you've done yours yet, but usually when it comes out, we usually talk about the results. We usually have our fearless leader, Carrie Hatt, come in and kind of talk to us about the trend survey and the things that were important in the survey. But a lot of great discussions, a lot of great questions this year. Have you done yours yet?
No, I haven't done mine yet, but I will. And this is something we should urge every EMS provider to participate in. This is a chance to make your voice known and steer the profession. A lot of weight among EMS industry leaders is put on the results of this trend survey in strategic planning and everything else. So when you have the opportunity to take the trend survey, I encourage you to do so, because this is one of the ways we can be a steward of our profession and let our leaders collectively know where we're at, what we're thinking, what's important to us.
It's one of the things I think I like to tell people. It's the answer to when is someone going to do something about this, right?
Yeah,
And
that disembodied someone, but it gets to be you when you do the trend survey.
Interesting. So, before we started, we always kind of talk about the shows, and we always kind of plan what the shows are going to be about. And we were kind of just talking, and it really kind of brought up an interesting topic about the things that are obsolete inside of EMS now that we, as we have gone on in our careers. And something that's really, really close to, I think it's a needed thing, but I don't think it's being used as much, is our drug dosages and our drug calculations. And when we went through school, it was all about figuring out how to mix bags and how to calculate dopamine and epinephrine drips. And then
Which
they
I can
started to
still
come
do.
then they started to come out with pre-mix bags and in 500s, and you had to go ahead and take them up to 1,000s, and then being able to figure it out. But now on a lot of the EMS vehicles, on a lot of the ambulances, they have pumps. All you need to do is program the pump. But how many apps are out there now, and do we really need to still teach drug dosages? But I think that there are a lot of things that we're going to see here in the future that are going to go by the wayside. And I think we can anticipate what they are. But, when we were kind of talking about it, you even brought up the stethoscope. But I mean, from your thought, I mean, you're an educator, drug dosages, drug calculations. Do we need to even teach them anymore?
Yes. Does it need to be the crucible that you must pass to become a paramedic like it has been in the past? Oh my God, the pharmacology section, the drug dosage test that everybody sweated. No, I don't think it needs to be that. And I think the focus, certainly in my teaching, the focus on pharmacology dosing and drug calculations has been learn how to use your resources rather than memorize a bunch of formulas. Because if you're doing math in the middle of a freaking code, you're already screwed. So use, and you shouldn't stand on the quicksands of memory. Use an app. There's an app for that. Do some cognitive offloading and devote all that wondrous brain power to problem solving and clinical decision making rather than the trivia of drug dosages. There are probably a few drug dosages that we should commit to memory because we administer them all the time. But the ones that are unfamiliar to us, there's no point in doing something really, really well that shouldn't have to be done in the first place. You know, I still take pride in the fact that I can calculate a dopamine dose almost instantaneously in my head. But it's a parlor trick now. It's not useful anymore. First of all, because I'm not giving dopamine all that often.
Right.
And secondly, there's an app for that. The same way, you know, we learn tidal volume calculations for our ventilators and this sort of thing. And there's an app for that, and how to calculate ideal body weight. And there's an app for that as well.
Let me ask you this though. I mean,
yeah,
so when we start to think about this, you know, one of the things that I'd always do as a best practice is, you know, I had my handy dandy field guide that I always carried on my leg, you know,
still have one on my phone.
You know, but you know, I always tried to, like, one of the things that I would do as a best practice when going off to cardiac arrest, pediatric arrest specifically, is I would flip the guide open and, you know, think about the age, and I would tell my partner, you know, we're using this blade, we're using this tube, first dose of epi is this, second dose of epi is this. But you know, now we start whipping out these apps or start whipping out these books, and how much confidence does that give to the people who are watching us that we know what the heck we're doing?
I I think the untutored would think that, oh my God, he's got to look it up in a book, and that's they would disparage you for that. I preface that by saying the untutored, the people that don't know what they're looking at, don't know what they're talking about, because quite frankly, even seasoned physicians and other members of the healthcare team use their references constantly. Some docs, you know, they're not going to do it in front of their patient, but they get a novel presentation. They're going to go to UpToDate on their computer before they write orders and this sort of thing. So it's a lot of it, you know, Chris, I think is the information revolution and how we access and store information anymore. You know, people bitch and complain about millennials. Hey, you kids, man, you know, you're always got your nose in your phone and you lack even basic knowledge. And we talk about the next generation as if they're stupid. But the way we access and retain information has simply changed. When you and I grew up, we had to read the dictionary and the encyclopedia and memorize that information. Now there's no need to do that. That information is available to everyone. True intelligence comes from knowing when and how to access it. So, you know, someone half our age may not be able to name all the state capitals, but they can look it up. And so what's the point? You know, so I think we kind of the Luddites among us who are not familiar with the technology or not comfortable with it kind of look down on people who utilize it better. But I don't think that means that they're less intelligent or less proficient at their job. They're just using their brain for other things.
I was going to ask you that. Is it the dumbing down of America now that we don't have to remember the things that we needed to remember?
I do think that there's a lot of dumbing down of America, but I don't think it's because of technology. I don't think it's because of technology. I think that the dumbing down of America is the lack of critical thinking we get from being spoon fed stuff in our social media feeds that sophisticated algorithms determine we like. So eventually we get everything that we like and nothing that we don't, and we never challenge ourselves intellectually and examine our own viewpoints and biases. I think that's a huge problem, but I don't think that the educational system so much is failing us, and the kids are stupider today than they were, or less educated today than they were 20, 30 years ago. I think that we just look at technology in the wrong fashion.
All right. Well, I mean, I think it's interesting, and we just need to keep an eye on it. I do want to switch gears with you a little bit, and I think I have a bone to pick with you. And
Go ahead, pick your bone, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick your bone, brother. But you and I did a great article, I think, that has appeared on EMS1. It was a point counterpoint article on do we need to lower the certification age to 16 years old?
Of course, I'm right. You're wrong.
Of course, you took the side that we think you think we should lower it to 16 years old, and we'll put the article up in the show notes. But I took the side that that's just a ridiculous thing. And I just want to go ahead and debate that with you a little bit on how ridiculous you are. And
come at me, bro. Come at me, bro.
But one of the things, you talk about, and maybe I'll let you pitch your side first and I give you my side, but it was an interesting article. It was an interesting discussion. And I think what we're trying to do as leaders is we're trying to find ways to create an answer for the recruiting and retention. And maybe what we should just do is take our younger who can't even, haven't even graduated high school yet, and put them into the career field. But go ahead and give me your argument, because I need a little laugh before I give you mine.
You're mischaracterizing it. First of all, I'm going to say that lowering the minimum certification age for EMTs is not going to solve the problem by itself. There are regulatory problems with licensing of drivers and insuring younger people that have to be overcome. Small ambulance services, their insurers are not going to underwrite someone at 16 years old to drive an ambulance code 3. That's just the way it is. That maybe that changes.
So why do it then? Why do it then?
Well, that wasn't the question we asked in our point counterpoint. We should the question was, or the debate was, is this good for the EMTs, and are they mature enough in high school to be able to withstand the rigors of an EMS career? My position is yes. There are plenty of 25-year-olds out there, oodles of them, if you look at the literature, that can't withstand the psychological and emotional toll of an EMS career right now. So, if we're looking at chronological age as a function of maturity and how well these people develop coping mechanisms, hell, Chris, you and I talk each week about the problem with mental health and PTSD and
you want to put a 16-year-old in the middle of that? You want to put a 16-year-old?
No, because you're once again talking about chronological age being a function of maturity, but it's not. It's about development, maturity, coping mechanisms, which is already apparent that older people than 16 haven't developed. So what we need is emotional and psychological resilience, which numerous places have already proven that they can give the kids that work EMS in their areas.
Give the kids.
That's right, they're kids, but they're not children.
You need to yield the floor.
Go ahead.
I mean, one of the things that we got to think about is how hard this career field is, right? I mean, we talk about the challenges that we see. We talk about the calls that we run. We talk about the things, I put in the article that, I brought up the book that you just recently wrote a chapter in. And a great chapter which you called Graveyards, where you're still hanging on to some of the calls that happened in your career. And every time you run those calls, it puts a new headstone in your graveyard that I mean, and you're a mature provider that's been in the field for a long
Well,
time.
debatable.
But now what we want to do, right now, what we want to do is you want to be able to put someone who is still in the cognitive stage of development, who's freaked out because they have acne and they've got to go on a date on Saturday, or, you know, who are they going to take to the prom in a couple years. And now what you want to do is you want to put them in an ambulance and you want them to see the pediatric arrest of the 3-week-old who, you know, didn't wake up, or, you know, the person who was ejected from the vehicle, or the guy who decided to go into a, you know, a restaurant and blow the back of his head off with a shotgun. I mean, I think that this is going to be a detriment to the, you know, to the 16-year-olds who we're bringing into the career field. And I just don't know that that's valuable. And you haven't given me any value to bringing a 16-year-old and having them certified as EMTs. Sure, we've got to come up with the challenge of who's driving us to the hospital, but Jesus, man, you know, where's the evidence that this is going to be a good decision?
Dead babies, people blowing their heads off, mass casualty incidents, mass shootings. Yeah, all of these are psychologically and emotionally traumatic events for 26-year-olds, 36-year-olds, 46-year-olds. It's hard that man visits upon his fellow man on a regular basis. It has nothing to do with their age. It has nothing to do with their age. The psychological toll that we suffer in EMS is because of lack of support and mentoring, and the coping mechanisms that we have developed naturally are not healthy coping mechanisms. Now, who better to teach someone, or who better to teach better coping mechanisms and better emotional stability than someone whose brain is still plastic and malleable and able to learn these coping techniques. You know, you
so
talk
what
about
you want to
all
do is
no. You talk about all the things that we see and all the harm that we do, yet we're talking every week about EMTs, you know, much older EMTs killing themselves or leaving the field because of depression and PTSD. It's patently obvious now that the way we cope as quote unquote adults is not sufficient anyway. So is this a matter of we're older and therefore tougher, and the kid shouldn't have to see this, or is it a matter of hey, we as a profession and generally suck at dealing with these issues? But if we learn a better way to deal with it, anyone,
listen to what you're
if we
saying.
learn
No,
a better
man.
way to deal with it, anyone of any age, or not of any age, but a 16-year-old can learn to deal with it too. And there's proof in the pudding.
Whatever. So one of the things that you're saying is that we're going to take somebody who's pliable and malleable and teach them how to deal with this. We can't do this with the people we got now. Where are these
we
people?
Don't do this with the people we got now.
Where are these mentors coming from that they're going to now take the 16-year-old who's coming into our agency and teach them how to deal with this traumatic stuff? We can't do that with the people who are killing themselves now in our career field, Kelly. And now what you're going to say is, let's take this 16-year-old who hasn't even graduated high school yet, and let's put him in the middle of this mess. It's just, you know, it's just ridiculous that you would even think that that's something that's comfortable. You do need to be able to stress yourself or be less stressed, because you're on the side of ridiculous, you know, a ridiculous, you know, decision here to say this is in any way that this is good.
There is a squad of volunteer EMTs in Connecticut called Post 53 in Darien.
Didn't they just win the volunteer EMS service of the year up there?
I'm not sure. They're highly decorated and well recognized. But the point being is that these are high school kids, these 16-year-olds and slightly older, who have not just running on an ambulance, not just riding along, they are rendering the care. They are running the ambulance service. They stock, they restock, they take care of the rigs. They do every bit of the operational stuff of running an ambulance service in high school. And they're not just third riders who are handing stuff to an older paramedic to take care of people. They are taking the lead and rendering the care, and have been doing so with stellar results for 40 years. Okay. They have proven that kids can do this. What's different? Mentoring. They have an adult who is responsible for the budgetary stuff, and they have an adult operations manager, and the adults on the ambulance are responsible for mentoring these kids and helping them deal with the stress, teaching them how to deal with the stress of a career, not just in EMS, but in medicine. And they've been doing this well. You know what? I haven't heard about any clock tower snipers coming out of Darien, Connecticut. How about you? These kids are going on to Ivy League educations, fields, careers in the fields of medicine, policy making, whatever. They're highly successful, highly motivated kids. Two things are different there than anywhere else. They pick the cream of the crop. Not every 16-year-old is fit to work on an ambulance. Not every 36-year-old is fit to work on an ambulance. We well know that there are certain character traits that lend themselves to our career field. They seek those character traits, and they make sure that the people that run on their ambulances, the high schoolers that run on their ambulances, are good fits. Number two, mentoring. And yeah, you say, well, you know, we can't do that now. No, it's not. We can't. We won't do that now.
You're babbling.
We won't do that now with our profession, and we're seeing the problem with it.
I'm not listening to you anymore.
You and I talk, man. How often have we talked about we need to have a revolution, and we need to revolutionize the way we deal with mental health and peer support.
I agree with that. I agree with that, but we don't need to add a layer of complexity to that. To now,
I think if we did that, then the age issue would be a moot point.
I think of all the ridiculousness that you've said on the show over the past 10 years, this is the biggest. So, but I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you anymore. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
All right. Well, you've heard what I think. You've heard what Chris, I don't know if it's thinking that you can call it, but we'd like to hear what you think. With the proper mentoring and guidance, could a high schooler excel at a career in EMS? It's just that simple. We'd like to hear your thoughts at the show at ems1.com. And for myself and co-host Chris Cebollero, the drooling idiot on my left, thanks for tuning in to Inside EMS. We're going to catch you guys next week.